guys, and welcome to another episode of Spilling Ink, the show that takes you behind the book to meet the authors and industry professionals in the indie publishing industry. Today I've got a guest co-host. You might remember him from previous shows, Jason LaVelle.
Hello, everyone. I'm back.
Beautiful. And that's why we bring him back, because he's just so much fun. Today I've got two guests to introduce you to. The first one is Bryan Tann. Bryan, go ahead and tell us a little bit about your books.
Alrighty. Well, I am the author of... it's hard for me to really put anything into a genre with my writing because I'm into a little bit of everything. And I try to put a little bit of everything into my writing. But right now I've got the Path of Redemption series. First book is entitled A Story of Bryce Creed, the Enforcer. Bryce Creed is a 300-year-old vampire enforcer that serves the American Vampire Council. And basically anytime the creatures that go bump in the night get out of line, it's Bryce Creed's job to either put them back in the line or take them out with extreme prejudice. And he's known to be among the most brutal of the enforcers of his era. In the first book, he's actually tasked with coming to the city of Pittsburgh, my hometown. Pittsburgh always makes an entrance in everything I write. The mistress of the domain of Pittsburgh, named Enya Blake, calls for him to protect her against a group to be called the Blood Coven that is looking to kill her for a ritual. One thing that is a main overlapping of the story is Bryce Creed is seeking redemption in God's eyes for all the things that he's done. You know, he started out very humble as a slave, became a vampire because, he was turned, obviously, and he's been trying to find ways to be more than what he is. And so that's a lot of what the overlapping story is, because at the end of the day, he's a vampire, he's a predator, he's a killer. I want to be a good guy, but I still have to kill people. So, and then the sequel novel to that just got released this past summer, actually, this past July, is called The Hunted, which takes place right after The Enforcer. Lots of action, lots of dark humor. It's really a lot of fun. Currently, I just submitted and finished the John Baker Chronicles. First book in that is called The Invincible Heart, which is actually a spin-off of Kendra Souter's Permutated Archives series.
Ooh, very interesting.
Sounds awesome.
The John Baker Chronicles starts out toward the end of Kendra's second book, The Scorned, which is coming out in December, and it runs parallel with the third book in the series that's going to be coming out next summer.
Awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
Let's put a pin in that right now, because I want to come back to that in a little bit. Find out how you and Kendra kind of did that and worked together.
Yeah, sure.
But I do also want to introduce our other guests. Got Brittany Richardson. Now, Brittany actually has worked with me as one of my personal assistants. She's been super helpful in promotion, in running street teams, and she's going to come on and tell you guys a little bit about what she does.
Hi, guys.
What does a PA for an author do?
Yeah, that's a good question.
We pretty much keep their heads attached to their bodies because she would lose her head. I mean, she's kind of... I just help promote her work. Recently, I've been trying to help her build her street team and get some moderators to help for that.
So what is a street team? What does that do?
A street team helps the author. It's like a special group to where, her super fans can come and be all in one place.
Okay.
It's kind of like a crowdsourcing through your fans to help them promote. So the people who really do love your work, you kind of guide them towards the type of promotion you need at that moment. So, for instance, if a new release is coming out, we'll go to the street team and say, okay, here's all of the media that we have for the new release. Help in any way you can, spread the word, talk to, your Facebook friends, post in groups, mention it on Twitter, that kind of thing. And occasionally we offer incentives as well to help boost that interaction.
I was going to say, when I was still a young man, a street team was a group of people who would go around and pin up posters for you and, you know, staple stuff to telephone poles and things like that to advertise your business. So you're kind of doing that same thing, running that same thing, only through social media, right?
Yeah, just like when
That's a hard
Kate,
job. Lots of credit to you on that. That's not easy.
Yeah, and Brittany really does help me kind of keep things in order. I've told her she's not my personal assistant. She's my babysitter. Because I forget everything. She's always emailing me going, did you forget something? Why didn't you tell me this was happening?
yes, I say that so many times. Why didn't you tell me this? I had no idea. Because she's got so much going on.
Well, the problem is when I get into writing mode, I forget everything else but what's right in front of me. So having a personal assistant helps me to regulate that. They remind me what needs to be done aside from, writing the books.
And I know that's real important because I know, like I said, I just released The Hunted in July. And then I got so into working on John Baker Chronicles, it was like an afterthought to say, hey, this has been released. Go check this out. Because I got so into my writing process that I completely spaced saying, oh, hey, by the way.
Well, as an author, 50% of what we do isn't writing.
Yeah.
We spend a lot of time doing the writing portion of it, but we have to spend equal measure of time reaching readers. Otherwise, nobody's going to read the work that you just put out.
Absolutely. Yep. And I know that that's a problem that I run into a lot because when I do get into that writing mode, I get so single-sided. It's just straight tunnel vision. Then it's like, crap. It'd probably be good if I kept telling people, hey, this is out, and bother them until they buy it so I can leave them alone.
But speaking of new releases, Jason, you just released a new book. Tell me how that's going and what are you doing as far as the promotion of that book?
Well, yeah, I just released The Dark of Night. I'm working on an official release day party kind of deal, which is a little belated, but it'll get there. And I'm finding that, since the first time I chatted with you on Spilling Ink here, you asked me if I really had a marketing plan, and I said, I don't. I'm not a businessman, so to speak, so I don't really have a good plan. Now with this new book, trying to garner some interest in it, I'm finding that you really have to be on top of social media all the time, because as soon as you stop reminding someone, like Bryan just said, they forget it's there, and they're not going to go get it because they're not thinking of you. It's not so much that they don't want to be a part of your new project or they don't want to read you, but if you're out of sight, you're definitely out of mind. And so I'm just trying to post a couple times a day, every day, just at least to remind people, hey, I'm still out here. I'd still love to have you read my work. I've been trying to give away a lot of free copies to people in exchange for reviews to try to boost the review numbers. Yeah, I'm still new to the whole marketing aspect of this, so I'm trying to watch you bigger name players, you Salidas and the Purdy's and the Souders, and kind of see how you guys approach marketing so I can try to model my own after that.
Now, Bryan, what's your marketing strategy when you come to a new release?
I try to post things on my official author page on Facebook at author Bryan Tann. And then I'll share that onto my personal page so it gets there. And then I'm starting to make use of Twitter a lot more than what I used to. I shied away from Twitter a lot. I don't even know why. I just didn't really like it. But now I'm using Twitter a lot more. I'm using Instagram a lot more. Really that's about it. There's other Facebook groups on there that I like to get on, like, the book promotion groups and so forth. I kind of take my cues from how, Kendra Souter does things, and even how TJ Weeks does things as well. They're always, promoting their stuff, and it's like, crap, I need to get on that. So that's pretty much how I tend to do it as well.
Okay. Now, Brittany, as a personal assistant, what would you say are the most important things an author should do coming into a release?
Just getting people interested. I think thunderclaps are a really good idea. I think graphics also. Make graphics that people are going to see, because that's what draws me into a book. I'll be scrolling down my timeline and I'll just see a bright colored picture and I'll stop, and then it'll say pre-order, so I'll click on it and then read what the book is about. So just promoting, I think, a lot.
I agree with the graphic thing. It's the same as, cover sells the book. Having that pretty picture sometimes does, just like you said, stop somebody and make them look a little more into it.
And I noticed that Kendra posts a lot of graphic teasers, and I have no idea where she finds the time or creativity to put these together. But because she's not only got fantastic book covers, it seems like every week I'm seeing some kind of new graphic design work from her, and they look fantastic. And I always stop. I'm like, wow, that looks like a kick-ass book,
She's a workhorse, man. She's a workhorse. Like, God bless her. She was very supportive. When I approached her to write the spinoff, and she was never too busy to talk or just to offer advice and really be just a great person about it all. But anytime I'd say, what are you up to? Oh, I'm editing this, I'm writing this, or I'm working on this, and she's always working at it. It's not easy. It's really not. And it's all about who and who can help you out, because if you're not good at something on your own, it's good to have the contacts out there that might be good at something. It's very important, especially in an industry now where, there's so many people, especially with social media, that are doing their own thing. They're getting their own stuff out there. It's good to have a circle of people that, that help each other out at every turn.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. 100%.
You never know who you could network with and who could put your name out there. So
exactly.
Now, where did your interest in the permutation archive or permutation archives or what?
Yeah, the permutation archives. I thought I was gonna hate it because one of the comparisons that was said was it was like the Hunger Games on steroids.
Well, I've read that as well.
Yeah, and I'm not a Hunger Games fan at all. I'm a Battle Royale guy, and I always make fun of the Hunger Games because I always call it Battle Royale light.
Mm-hmm.
But I really wanted to give it a try to see what was what. And, and I'd spoken to Kendra in the past because I was kind of out of writing for a couple of years when I first released The Enforcer. And then last year around this time, I was producing and narrating the audiobook for TJ Weeks' Unfleshed book. Once I finished that and did a lot of talking with him, I heard that he was promoting an anthology called Painted Mayhem, and the proceeds were going to help veterans with PTSD. I wrote a short story for that Kendra Sauter was also involved in. I got so into doing that, and I credit TJ Weeks with getting me back into writing because I was going to quit for good. I was done. And I had been working on The Hunted for off and on for like those couple of years, and then I just went nuts, finished it, and then started putting it out there. Well, then I talked to Kendra off and on. Their Painted Mayhem came out, and I was like, you know what? Here's a writer I've talked to a little bit. Let's give it a try. So I got it, and for me, I don't like reading books that are first-person narrative because for me, a lot of times they're very hard to follow. I was hooked after the first 3 pages. I was completely hooked on it. So I had this 2,000-word abandoned project that I had literally started trying to work on during the summer of 2015, and it was really going nowhere. I actually had it titled on my desktop, "What the F Are You?" because I had no clue where I was going. And then I had the idea of what I wanted to do based off of a Shadowrun game that I played a long time ago. As I'm reading The Harvested, which is the first book in the Permutated Archives series, I'm like, I might be able to do something with this. So I sent her a message like right away. I'm walking to work, and I'm like, I got to ask you a big favor because, blah, blah, blah. And I tell her, I said, look, I've got a sci-fi story that I was working on, and I think it would make a really, really cool sort of a spinoff. And all of a sudden, she was like, wow, that'd be great. Tell me more. And I'm like, I'm selling her on this. And I'm just like, as I'm selling her on this, I'm getting more and more excited. And I'm yelling at myself like, why don't you just turn around and walk back home and get started? And it's like, nah, because I still have to pay bills. So I'm telling her about it. And she was like, all right, I can't wait to see what you come up with. Go ahead. And I'm like, okay. So I get home that night, and I start looking over what I had written. I'm like, wow, this was, wow. And then, bam, I just started getting out of it. 2,000 words and I started this end of July-ish, probably like last week of July, turned into 80,000 words, 600 pages of now it's done. And it was like everything just came together. It was like peanut butter and jelly. It just worked.
Nice.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
And it was like this. I was drawn into this world that she had painted with this dictator, and with what he wanted to do, and everything that Mila's going through. I tried really, really hard to sort of put my own spin on this dark world, this dark dystopian world. I wanted to show things from the military aspect, where now the government has to try to get a hold of this powerful woman that they wanted to use. And now it's like, well, we're going to do this to get her. And the whole thing with John Baker, he was created to destroy Mila. And it's just how it went from there. And it got me so excited that I couldn't stop.
That's awesome. That's really inspiring.
Oh, absolutely. It's funny to me. It's things like that really get me, because here I had, the sequel to like my life's work that I was just gave up on, and then I start, narrating for someone else's book, and then realize, well, I want to start writing my own stuff again.
That's really cool. No, I like how that all came together, and it got you back into writing, and it fired you up, it sounds like.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, I've actually got the ideas. I'm going to probably start working on the second book in the John Baker Chronicles probably in the next couple of days. I'm actually going to get back started on it. Probably going to start working on the third book in the Path of Redemption series that's titled The Horseman.
Very cool. Now, what does your release schedule look like for this year and next year?
I'm planning on having book 2 of the John Baker Chronicles that's tentatively titled The Broken Mind. I want to have that finished no later than February 2017, and I want to at least have a rough draft of The Horseman ready for just after the new year. So they're going to be like back to back. And then I have other ideas. I don't really have like a schedule per se. I'm still relatively new. I do plan on, though, and this is actually one thing that I was saving for the show, I'm going to start recording audiobooks for The Enforcer and The Hunted. And
awesome.
I'm going to do those myself, because the Bryce Creed character came a very, very long way with me. He was a reoccurring nightmare that I had throughout high school. He ended up turning into a role-playing character, and now he's a main protagonist in a book series. He's like the flagship. So I don't think I could trust anyone else to read in his voice other than me. Unless, if Terry Crews decided that he wanted to do it, then, maybe I'd let him. But so I'm going to be doing those, and I'm actually going to have the Vancouver affair as a prologue in the Enforcer's audiobook. So basically everyone will be able to get everything that I've done up to this point, and I plan on having those ready around Christmas of this year.
Wow.
Okay.
So you're going to be pretty busy then. Now, you had mentioned you're doing it yourself. We've talked on shows in the past about using ACX as a platform and having other producers make the audiobook. If you're doing it yourself, I've got 2 questions on this. One, what software are you using? How do you go about recording it yourself? And 2, will you still use something like ACX to upload and distribute?
I will use Audacity. Audacity is a program. I use it for a lot of my promo work for my radio show. It's very, very simple to use, very easy to use, very user-friendly. I used that when I recorded Unfleshed by T.J. Weeks, S.K. Bollinger, who was his writing partner for that book. So that's what I will use as well for the actual files. As far as using ACX, I'll definitely use that. It's what I'm familiar with. It's what I'm comfortable with. I want to be able to use Amazon as a source. Stick with what you know.
Okay. Now, Audacity said that's a free software.
Absolutely. I'm too cheap to buy something.
Well, that's good information for our listeners, because it's authors as well as readers. So authors out there who might be looking at doing their own production for audiobooks, that would be a good resource for them.
Oh, absolutely. Audacity is very user friendly. If I can figure it out, anyone can figure it out. I'm not the sharpest spoon in the drawer. I'm really not.
No, I have a question for you, Brian. Because somebody's asked me this before. In fact, Katie actually asked me this before and asked me, what kind of mic is appropriate for recording podcasts and things like that. And I've just got this blue snowball dealie here from Best Buy. I think they were, $50, something like that, Katie? And it seems to work well for applications like this. Yep. But if you're recording an audiobook, do you need to be renting studio space, or how do you go about doing that? I know that you're a radio personality. That's correct?
Yeah. I do a podcast radio show for the Granite Coast Entertainment Network. Okay. I used to live in the New England area. All indie music, indie everything.
Fantastic.
GraniteCoastEntertainment.com for anyone that's interested. They're always looking to work with anyone and everyone when it comes to anything independent. I have my talk format show on there, and actually what I did, I've got a little podcast kit that I purchased off of Amazon. Nothing really crazy special about it. It's got a USB plug-in, so you can actually plug it into the computer. It's got this little deal here that you can use. It plugs into the mixing board. It was only about $100 for that.
Okay.
And it's easy. It's a little plug and play thing. You don't have to go and spend a ton of money. There's always ways to do it that are relatively inexpensive. And with Audacity, once again, it's free. A lot of people use some other things, but like I said, Audacity is perfect. It's really a great program.
Okay.
That's awesome. And I think our listeners will be they'll be interested to hear that as well, because like I said, it's not always just readers that are watching Spelling Inc. It's also authors as well. Bryan, let's talk a little bit more about how you got involved in the radio show.
Well, I was living in New Hampshire, and I was going. Now, I had already gotten my associate's degree in criminal justice. That wasn't working out. So I decided to go back to school for my BA because I had always been interested in radio. I did like a impromptu guest spot on a local talk radio show up there, and it went really well. So I decided go get some education. Getting the BA didn't really prepare me for it so much, but at least got me interested. And I happened to be on Craigslist, and I saw something that's about hiring people to be in radio. So I talked to the guy. His name was Shane Tassinari. Shane and I became friends, and he actually became my co-host for my talk show. And we called it now it's called the Tandemonium Radio Show. And, we talk about anything and everything. Politics, anything that's going on in the news, we make fun of. Little blue language, but, that's mainly because we can get away with it. But, we talk about anything.
Podcasts are good like that.
Yeah, exactly. We podcast it and goes into regular rotation. I know that the previous network we were on, my show was the top-rated show in the New England area, which, among our network, which was like a big deal for me because it's like, wow, I'm actually doing something right. And, I got to meet a lot of really, really great musicians of the New England area. The radio thing really helped, I guess, in a lot of ways, helped me to be able to do what I do, because I sort of carry that same confidence in what I do from that, and that's a lot of where it started from. And that's what I started doing once I stopped focusing on writing so much. Now I'm trying to juggle both of them. If you can have fun doing what you do, then it's not work. I tell people I'm a writer first, and I'm a storyteller first and a writer second. That's what I was first. I told stories first. I remember as a kid, I would have people just listening to things that I talked about, and I would just be making a lot of stuff up, but I could just make it flow into a story.
That's what we do now still.
Yeah, exactly. And when you can sit and write all of that down and make it work, and I even told, because when I was working on the John Baker Chronicles, and I'm sending Kendra updates every day of what I'm doing, and I'm always saying, well, how does this work with what you're doing? How does this work with what you're doing? How does this work? Because continuity is very important for a storyteller. And I don't want to be one of those writers where when they write something later involved in the same world, people are like, well, how does that work? Because in this book it was something else, and then you have to come up with a whole new explanation, like in Star Wars when they came out with the prequels. Well, how are you going to make that fit? Because in episode 4, 5, and 6 it was this way, so how are you going to do it, and blah blah blah. And it's like, oh my god, just enjoy it.
Well, you know, it's kind of like telling a lie, and even if it's just a tiny little lie, if it's contrived, someone's going to pick it out, and then all of a sudden you're in a heap of shit because you got to figure out a way to explain it without just saying, "Hey, look, I kind of screwed up. I didn't know what to do with this." And
that whole last season was a dream.
Yeah. Bobby was really, she was asleep. Bobby never died, I promise.
I've got my fingers crossed for that.
Yeah. Exactly. So I definitely try to make sure, and I even, when I was working on The Hunted, you know, I had to go through the Enforcer a couple of more times just to make sure everything was going to come together, because I'm big on continuity. I love continuity.
I don't mean to interrupt your train of thought there, but I don't want to lose Brittany again without chatting with her a little bit. You know, and Brittany, a question for you. You know, working with an author like Bryan, if he was coming to you and say, "Hey, you know, I've got my John Baker book that's, you know, going to be coming out here. You know, obviously pending review of his publishing company. So that's going to be a new release soon. You know, what would you, as a personal assistant, be able to do to help him in that process, you know, and what kind of do you offer to authors in that way?"
That's a good question.
I would put together a Facebook party, because that right there in itself, a lot of people may say it doesn't work, but in my opinion it does, because that's also your networking again. And so you're pulling in, say you've got like 6-hour slots, that's 6 authors that you're bringing in. So that's 6 authors who are going to share your Facebook party to their audience and their readers, and that's going to bring their readers in, because their readers want a chance to win their books. So they're going to be in your party learning about your books because their author brought them. So that's, you know, 6 different authors, or if you do half-hour time slots, that's even more. That's my favorite way, is a Facebook party.
Okay. And do you feel like that's been, you know, pretty successful for people in the past? Katie, I know you've done a couple of these parties before. Do you feel like that's helpful in getting the word out?
The Facebook parties for sure do help spread immediate word. And like she said, bringing in other authors to join you on a party expands your ability to reach new people to their fan bases as well. So, you know, let's say, Jason, for your party, if you brought me onto your party, I would hopefully be bringing the people that like my books in as an introduction to your books, along with, you know, offering them incentives like, you know, they can win a free book here, they could win one of your books. And the same thing goes, you know, when you bring a bunch of other authors together. Everybody's got their own individualized fan bases. Some crossover, but some don't. And it's all a way to introduce those people to your work.
Nice. That's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
And
For sure.
you know, I'm looking for more authors to join me with my own little Facebook party. So, Bryan, since I know you're kind of disturbed and violent too, or at least your books are.
Oh yeah.
I gotta always use more guys like you.
Hey, hey, let me know. I'm there.
Yeah, well, I might have to talk to Brittany later about making this all work right, since I've never actually done it before.
Yeah,
for sure. I will help you out.
Now, Brittany, you have like an a la carte service on your website, don't you, where you have individual things that you'll do? What individual services do you offer to authors?
I have on there, like, because I also have a YouTube channel where I do book reviews on YouTube, and then Facebook parties, and then promoting. I think I have like 3 different packages. I think the cheapest one, $15, you know, starting up, posting on Twitter, and I've started making graphics, so I'm not quite there yet with the graphics, but one day I'll get there.
Nice.
Yeah.
It sounds like your prices are very budget friendly too. So I'm understanding you correctly? You post to Facebook groups, you post to Twitter group. Yep. Do you do Instagram?
Mm-hmm.
I know that one's a big one now too.
Yeah, Instagram. Yep, Instagram and Pinterest. Because I love Pinterest, so I know there's plenty of people out there that are on Pinterest just scrolling.
Okay. Now, as far as your YouTube reviews go, how do you set that up, and what does an author have to do to get a review from you on YouTube?
Well, some of them I reach out to
$1
authors.
million.
Yeah.
Yeah, but a lot of them I just do on my own. Like I'll read a book and then I'll just film my review and then put it out there. And so I did one for Edna Walters, and I didn't do anything. And then she commented under my YouTube video, and it turns out I was saying one of the characters' names wrong. But she said she loved it, and so I think that one I have the most views on. So most of them I do them for free, but you know, because I like doing it. It's fun.
That's a good exchange, you know, a free book for a review. That's, you know, a wonderful way for authors to reach out to new readers. That's a wonderful way for somebody building their review business to, you know, build up reviews and gain exposure too. So that's great. Now, do they have to send you a physical copy of the book, or do you do e-copies as well?
I do e-copies as well. Yep.
Nice.
Because to me, that's more convenient, you know.
Yeah, I might have to send you. I might have to send you the Enforcer and the Hunted as a Christmas present.
Yeah, and guess what? My birthday's next month, so
there you go. Happy birthday and Merry Christmas. That is cool.
So Brittany, something that almost all of us authors struggle with, unless you are a megastar, is how in the heck do we get people to leave us reviews, be it on Amazon or Goodreads or iTunes? Do you have any insights on that, or do you have any, you know, secret tricks working with these authors on you know, where you can go to, you know, ask for reviews from people where you'll actually get a good response? Or can you offer us any advice? Because I want to know too.
I feel like Goodreads, I've just started on Goodreads, and I see a lot of people actually leave reviews on Goodreads because, you know, that reading challenge on there? Mm-hmm. That's how I've been doing mine, is leaving reviews. Offering them incentives, I think, you know, works in a way. Like, but you also don't want to do that too much, because then you're just, I say like bookmarks and like little swag stuff like that.
So I shouldn't offer them a lock of my hair.
I'll take one, buddy.
Okay. I know.
I think I can get a little from
not a lock of your hair.
So short
I don't know why. I don't want to know where it came from, but yeah.
No.
Short of slipping a $5 under the table, offering them bookmarks, offering them maybe future copies of other books would be a good incentive. I don't want to use the word bribe, so incentive is good. I like that.
Incentive-based suggestion.
You know, yeah. Or gift cards. Like a $5 Amazon gift card, that's always an option. That way you're not just giving your product out for free, because, you know, you work hard to have to give your product out for free.
I think that's really cool, because I know that there's some people that when they find out that I'm a writer and they've known me for years, they're like, well, you're going to give me a signed copy, right? I'm like, dude, I'm independent. I have to pay to get a copy of my book, plus pay shipping. Right. So you want me to buy my own book, pay for the shipping of my own book, and then sign it, and then come to you to give it to you. Well, would you like a quart of blood as well?
You know what? You consider those Christmas gifts.
Yeah.
That's right.
And lots of family and friends, at least for me, get books as Christmas gifts.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's something I'm planning on doing. My sister does party life, and I told her that I would order copies of my books that she can use for giveaways, you know, especially for, you know, Halloween, since, you know, The Enforcer is a vampire novel, so, you know, it goes with the Halloween theme. So I'm planning on doing things like that. I want to start, you know, doing cons as well, or just go to independent bookstores and go, hey, sell this, please. I'll give you $1.
Don't forget the please. Actually, independent bookstores, depending on which ones you talk to, some of them do like to take on indies on a consignment basis. And so they will shelve, you know, a few copies of your book, and you'll sign a contract with them, you know, like a 60-40 split like they do with Barnes & Noble or the big guys. And they'll put a copy or two of your book out there for their readers.
Nice. That's good to know. Goodreads, I don't use it because I'm kind of scared of it in a lot of ways because, I mean, I've heard some, I don't want to say horror stories, but I've heard some people where sometimes you get people that are so gung-ho about reading that they're sometimes not the nicest to people that authors they don't recognize or know.
Yeah, so, and there are trolls everywhere. The trolls on Goodreads can be especially vicious. It almost seems like when one starts attacking, they're like sharks with blood in the water there, and they'll just go at you and try to destroy you. And thankfully, I haven't been the victim of that, and I hope that I never am. But yeah, no kidding. It can be scary.
People are mean.
They are.
Well, the anonymity of the internet adds to that fact, too.
Absolutely.
It's easy to be mean when you're not talking directly to somebody's face.
Yeah, and that was actually what I was about to say. I think that, for those of us that are, in our 30s, before the internet became huge, you had to rely on being face-to-face with people. It's a lot easier to just, pardon my French, it's easier to be a douche to people when you can just type it on a keyboard and go and walk away.
Yeah, for sure.
I like the sound effects there, too.
With that sound effect, too. Now, anytime I say anything mean, I'm going to have to make that noise.
Well, you know what? Because you got the big black guy that's more white and nerdy than anybody. Better.
Well, that brings up an important question. Is it true that some people call you Bryan, and that you may be having David Draymond's baby?
Yes, I am. You know what? I heard his cover of the Simon and Garfunkel song, and honestly, I have to say that his melodic notes did impregnate me. I did become Bryan, and I was impregnated by David Draymond.
Yes.
I just hope now he doesn't find out about this and goes, "Hey, wait a minute! Who you?"
If you could get some child support from him, though, I mean,
that would be awesome. Yeah. Like, hey, man, you got to start paying a brother some hush money, okay? Of course, now the cat's out of the bag, so how's he going to shut me up?
I'm sharing this on his page later, by the way.
Oh, God.
That'd be awesome.
And it'll be like, oh, wow.
Oh, wow. Yeah, then as he's like ripping me to shreds, I can say, hey, your version of Forsaken from Queen of the Damned was way better than Jonathan Davis's. Don't kill me.
Oh.
I'll say it as fast as I can. I mean, I'm serious. I'm serious. Like, I honestly, I thought his version of Forsaken was better than Jonathan Davis's. I don't know why. Matter of fact, I heard the David Draymond version of Forsaken before I heard Jonathan Davis's version, and then I was like, why isn't David Draymond the official voice of Lestat from Queen of the Damned?
Oh.
Because, wow.
No. Sorry, we went off on a little nerd roller coaster.
Little tiny.
That was great. Yeah, talk about veering completely out into left field.
Yep. How's it going out there? Right.
That's why we asked Jason to be our guest host this week, because he always brings the fun.
Oh.
I'm sure David will be very sad that he missed this episode.
I know.
Yeah, but he's on the convention circuit right now, which is a good thing. We talked about that too, about going to conventions and bringing books to conventions, things like that. Now, I know Jason says he hasn't. Bryan, have you done any conventions? You'd mentioned wanting to.
Yeah, I do want to. I haven't officially done a con. Like I said, a friend of mine, Jeff Williams, who he's got an awesome comic called Bad Caliber. Look him up on Facebook, Jeffrey Freedom Williams. An amazing comic that I think he just finally concluded called Bad Caliber, and he published my prequel story to The Enforcer. It's called The Vancouver Affair. And he published it in the same brain as his Bad Caliber comic. And Aaron Brown did the art for The Vancouver Affair. Aaron Brown also did the cover art for The Hunted. Very, very talented guy. Both very, very talented guys. and he was actually giving out copies of the Vancouver Affair along with his copies of Bad Caliber. And it was fun to do. It was fun going out there. I still had to pay to get in, but I went in and just took a handful of copies and just walked around and just said, looked for people that I thought would appreciate it. Just said, hey, check this out. Gave them the rundown, and they're like, hey, great, yeah. And they put them in their bags. So it wasn't too bad. I didn't see as much of a bump in my Facebook page likes from that experience, but it was a fun thing to do. I didn't see I think my last two huge bumps to my Facebook likes from my author page were from TJ Weeks putting my name out there when I did the Unfleshed audio, and then when I did when Kendra Souter announced that I was writing the Permutated Archives spinoff. The official title is Permutated Archives Division. I saw a huge bump in that. Huge bump. I mean, I went from maybe 120 likes to well over 200, like wow. 225. And then when I actually did I actually was involved in the Facebook party for the celebration of the Stalker Chicks review and blog. They just celebrated their 2K 2-year anniversary, and I really saw a huge bump from there leading up to my takeover of An Hour Block and After Effects. So I've got over 300 likes on my Facebook page in a little less than a year just from working with others.
That's awesome.
Wow. Well, and we've said it before, it's who you know. The connections really make the difference, and that brings us back to doing Facebook parties and bringing the other authors in. You never know who you bring on to your team, if you want to call it that. That will actually be the one that kind of puts you over the edge, or that helps you reach that new market.
Yep, and I've been thinking lately too with just different people that I've spoken to. I've still got other little things that I haven't released yet, that I've just kind of sat on for various reasons that, I'm thinking about, going through again. I wrote a thriller, a crime thriller that I've been thinking about looking over again, and maybe even including that in a release in 2017 as well. I haven't made a final decision on it yet, but, it's something to consider, and it's all basically from networking to other writers, talking to some of their fans, getting them to become your fan, and just finding out what they like. That's why I also don't keep myself in one realm of writing. I try to be very, very broad with what I write because I'm interested in so many things. I'm a nerd. It's what I do. I'm interested in so many things that why should I just keep myself in one category when I can just branch out everywhere, get my finger in every pie that's out there, and then slowly but surely take over the world.
Yes. Excellent.
Excellent. All right, guys. Well, we're starting to run down on time, so if there's anything we want to bring up before we close, now would be the time to do it.
A Spilling Ink exclusive. Be on the lookout, holiday season. Planning on having the Path of Redemption, Book 1 and 2, The Enforcer and the Hunted, prepared for audiobook for those that have been asking.
Wow.
I'm not putting that on any of my stuff until this airs. This is a Spilling Ink exclusive right here.
Yes! We love the exclusives.
It is your exclusive to have.
Excellent.
And, just be on the lookout. Also in this holiday season, The Scorn, Book 2 of the Permutated Archives by Kendra Souter is coming out. That starts to lead into the John Baker Chronicles, and
I'm reading The Harvested right now, so I'm interested to continue on her series and then get into yours as well and see where it goes.
Awesome.
We have to check that out and then follow it into your series as well.
Yeah, I hope so, because I tell you one thing, it gets real, and there's a lot of things that I threw in, and I went to Kendra and I said, hey, is this too much? Because it's a spin-off into your world, so it's part of your world. She goes, you do what you want to do. I'm like, Okay.
Awesome. You know, we may have to bring both you and Kendra back on as we get closer to Christmas, since
That would be cool.
the
That'd be very
releases
cool.
are coming out then, and see how you guys are doing. Touch base with you there.
Anytime you want me, I'm here.
All right. Well, we'll definitely be in touch. It looks like we lost Brittany again. I'll have to message her, let her know that we miss her. Yes, big sad.
Yeah. Yeah, she's got a birthday and Christmas present on the way.
Oh, wait, she might be
Nice.
back.
There she is. We've been talking about you.
Hi, Brittany.
Only in nice ways.
Aren't you glad you popped in when you did, Brittany?
Run as fast as you can.
Oh, we love you, Brittany. I'm sorry you're having internet problems over there.
Might I suggest killing it with a hammer?
That's right.
Yes, the hammer. That always works. It has been wonderful having you, Brittany, and you, Brian, on the show with us today. You guys have been great characters. Brittany, I'm sorry again for the internet problems, but we'll touch base with you again. And Jason, as always, what a card. You're so much fun to have on.
Thank you, guys.
It's always fun. It was so great. Thank you so
All
much.
right, everybody, remember to like our videos. Remember to share our videos with social media. Please make sure that you subscribe so that you are always getting the most current and up-to-date video feeds through our YouTube channel, and follow us on Facebook as well. Check the links below in the description, and we will have links for Brittany's PA services, Brian's links, as well as his radio show link. You're going to send that to me, right, Brian?
Oh, absolutely.
Wonderful. And Jason's links as well. So we'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching.